Okay, great. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm really excited about this month's leadership development call. We have some of the members of the Youth Task Force joining us, and they're going to tell us all about their work, which feels like a really dynamic, growing part of MCLD's network. But before we do that, just a quick introduction to these monthly leadership calls for those who are new. Let me see if I can make the slides change. There we go. So these calls have actually been happening for 3 years now and have become a space to really build community, to get to know one another, to share the work that we're doing and what we're learning from what we're doing, and to brainstorm and collaborate together. They've also been at times a place to workshop projects or ideas that different members have. And as it says here, it's a place to connect, learn, and co-create. And we have different topics from different members and non-members. These calls are open to both MCLD members and non each call. I want to see if anyone who has been a part of these calls a lot longer than me, if there's anything that you want to add to what I just said. And you can feel free to use the chat box or raise your hand, or just come off mute and share. Okay. I will assume that I did a good enough job of introing that. So everyone who's just joined, welcome. You can put your name and where you're calling from in the chat box. We ask if it's okay if you mute yourself if you're not talking, just so we can all hear clearly. And anytime you want to come in, there's lots of times to talk, but you can, as I said, write in the chat box or raise your hand to share. One of the traditions of these calls is that it always starts with a short breakout room to just get to know each other and not talk about work and our professional lives necessarily for a few minutes, and get to know each other better. So we are going to do that in honor of the Youth Task Force. Our question today is, what was your first job? Maybe you were in school, maybe it was connected to what you do now, or maybe it was very, very different. But we're going to go into breakout rooms of 3 people, and we'll have about 8 minutes to share, and everybody can share what they did, and then we'll come back and we'll report back to the whole group. So please be sure to identify someone from your small group who can share what we've learned about each other very briefly, just in 1 minute, back to the whole group. So with that, Sarah, if you don't mind sending us all into breakout rooms.
Hey everyone, if you didn't get your little notification about the breakout room, let me know. If you are new, just joining the call, we're in breakout rooms for the first 6 minutes now, and we are just casually talking about what was your first job. So the breakout room's already started, so maybe we could all just stay here. And anyone who wants to share can share what their first job was. Or I can share that this was my first real job, working with MCLD, but before that, I was a summer camp counselor and a rowing coach and a mountain climbing guide. How about you guys?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My first job was an admin assistant.
Thanks, Deborah. Where were you an admin assistant?
Pardon?
Where were
Radio
you?
station. At a radio station.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you? My first job was a librarian. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
Often when we go into the small breakout rooms, we never have enough time. So we decided to give everybody a little more time this time. So hopefully you were able to chat. I also noticed, I didn't see earlier, but when I was asking folks, I'm just going to mute you, Emmanuel, for background noise. You can always go off mute. Earlier, when I asked if there's anything anybody wanted to add about what these monthly leadership calls are like, Dr. Rebecca had put into the chat box that it is a place where we care, we cherish each other, and talk about also about well-being. So I just wanted to highlight that. All right, we're going to do a quick report back just to learn about everybody in this space. Actually, I wonder if that's a that might be a lot. We have a lot of folks, actually. I think if people are okay, do they mind putting it into the chat box, what they learned about their group, so that we can make sure that the youth task force has all the time that they need to hear from us and to share. Thanks, Colleen. I know that you are our reporter. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our main event for today. As I said, I'm really excited to have the Youth Task Force with us. This is an initiative that started a few months ago, to be honest, before I joined MCLD. So I don't even know the full origin story, but maybe Samuel can tell us about that. They've recently transitioned the leadership. And today we have the new global coordinator, Samuel, with us, and I think a few of his colleagues from the Youth Task Force also. I'll let them introduce themselves in a minute. But we invited them here today because as they are growing and establishing themselves, we want to make sure that the connections between all the national associations and the rest of MCLD with the Youth Task Force is really strong. So we're going to be able to hear about their vision, the activities they're doing. We'll brainstorm some of the questions that they're navigating, which I think are questions that a lot of you have navigated or continue to navigate as part of your work with MCLD and beyond. And I told him that this is a really friendly, casual space and that everybody will give good feedback that they can use. So I hope we live up to that. All right. Well, Samuel, I will, hand it over to you. And you can, as I said, introduce yourself and any other members you can or they can. And we are excited to hear from you. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Nelly. It's wonderful to get to see you all here today. As I said, my name is Samuel. I'm fortunate enough to be the new global coordinator of the Youth Task Force, which is an amazing group. You'll get to meet my team here, and finally, I've been really looking forward to this call because it's really exciting. With a lot, I'm really feeling excitement to really share on what we've been able to do, our goals and visions, and just a quick introduction, just so that you can all get to know me. So I initially I'm from the a national association that is part of MCLD, known as Rural Women Peace Link, which advocates for young women education, young women rights, and just in general the youth advocacy. Um, I joined it when I was 13, back in 2019, just as an informal peer-to-peer leadership program, and I've been with them all through. And last year, I got to understand and I got to know about the youth task force that was was being formed. And from that on, from then on, I was really excited and I really wanted to know, what is this youth task force all about? And I got to understand it, and I was able to join. Uh, uh, I was able to send, my application to the then global coordinator. And from then on, I was able to now be officially appointed, or rather officially joined in January. And from then on, it has just been so impactful, and I've been able to learn a lot from the youth task force, from the members that I was able to find and everything, and it has been amazing. And I personally, before I just introduce my team who are here in this call, personally, I'm very excited to hear your insights on what you've been able to do so far, and I'm very excited to just get to interact with all of you. And I'll now pass it to Prayer. I think Prayer is here. Prayer is a member of the Youth Task Force, and I believe she will introduce herself. Prayer, you can take it on.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm so honored to be here. Sorry, I can't put on my camera. I'm not in a very good place that has a very stable network. But I say a very big thank you to our global coordinator for introducing me. We have been having a great time as a youth task force. I am from the MCLD Nigeria, and I'm be part of this. We have had a couple of meetings to see how we can integrate every youth to be part of what we are doing, the movement and the action. And then we are doing something super amazing to commensurate the World Hunger Day. Our global coordinator told every youth task to make a video for to commensurate the World Hunger Day and the challenges people are facing all across the globe when it comes to hunger. Something amazing, and by the time the video is going to be out, you all will be super impressed. I am the founder and CEO of NASA Agape Foundation, which I'm part of the MCLD Nigeria, which is headed by our highly esteemed Dr. Rebecca Deli, doing an amazing job here in Nigeria with amazing organizations here in Nigeria, making a great advancement towards humanity. For the opportunity to work on.
Thank you so much, Prayer. I'd like to also introduce, we recently were able to have one of the members who was interested in becoming the Assistant Global Coordinator, just to ensure efficiency of the Youth Task Force. And I think she'll be okay introducing herself. I'd like to introduce Natalia Miller. Miller, you can introduce yourself to this wonderful group.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Miller, and I'm excited to be here with you and to work with you guys and to be part of the Youth Task Force. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Natalia. Natalia is our Assistant Global Coordinator. I saw Mambu somewhere. Mambu is also a member of the Youth Task Force. I'm not so sure if he's still in the call. Um, Mambu, if
Hi.
you are in the call, you can. Oh, perfect.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Mambu Alfasano from Sierra Leone, working with Women's and Youth Development Center Sierra Leone. I'm also a member of MCLD and Utah. I'm so happy to be here and sharing my experience with MCLD Global and Utah Force International. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mambu. I'm not so sure if the other members have joined in, but I was able to share the link of to the meeting with the members who were also able to invite others, to be able to be part of this call and get to meet all of you. But basically, those I think are the members who are here currently, but the others I believe will join as we go on. And yeah, I think in the interest of time, I'd love to really share my screen, and now we can get to share what we've been able to do as the Youth Task Force. Just let me know if you're able to see my screen. Okay, not so sure. Okay. Oh, Youth Task Force. I was able to try and design the the PowerPoint, but generally you can get to see. So yeah. So coming to our goals and visions as the Youth Task Force. So our goal is basically driving true inclusion of youth voices for inclusive socio-economic development, basically just ensuring that the youth are really in. I'm sorry, I can see that Rebecca has her hand up. Sorry about that. I think.
Yes, we have some members who are here from SAGDIC, Nigeria. We have Bamai Tankat. We have Saadu Sadiq Amaza. We have Deborah Vandi. They are all in our youth task force, and they are here. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. I'm not so sure if they would like to just say something small, just to introduce themselves. I'm not so sure. But Sadiq is also a member of the youth task force. I don't know if Sadiq can hear me just before I continue, just to have a chance to introduce yourself.
Sadiq, can I introduce myself since Sadiq is yet to come
Sure.
on?
Sure.
My own name is Bami Tankat Kesdugum with Sagdin here in Nigeria. So I'm happy to join this particular call. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Sadiq just needs to go off mute.
Or Deborah, or we can continue.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you now. Welcome.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, we are hearing you.
I'm Sadiq Said Abdullahi, calling from Nigeria, representing grassroots social justice, a member of the Youth Task Force Nigerian, and also a member of the MCLD. Thank you.
It's wonderful. Sorry, I didn't get to see the screen was so really sorry about that. But yeah, those are wonderful members who are currently on this call. And the other members, if I've not been able to mention, you just feel free to chat in to really chat and just introduce yourself. And yeah, you'll be able to interact more after the presentation, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, Continuing, basically our goals is basically driving through inclusion of youth voices for inclusive socioeconomic development, just ensuring that the youth are really, really heard in terms of, that the youth voices are heard in terms of all these activities that within the MCLD and within the national associations in the socio-economic development. Because once we have the youth voices and once these organizations have the youth voices, I mean, the projects can be able to be finally, concluded as being youth for the youth and by the youth, because the youth have also been involved in the decision-making process, and I believe that is very important. And that's our goal, basically, just to drive through inclusion of youth voices for socio-economic development. Moving on to our visions, which we will be really, making them concrete, basically empowering youth at community-led development, advocating for their rights and needs while creating development. So basically, just to talk more on this, empowering youth at community-led development, ensuring that the national associations that are under MCLD are really, really, really rooted on the youth having their voice. It's basically in link with the goal, but ensuring that the youth are able to really speak and in terms of policy making, really participate in policy making, and also just to ensure that they understand their rights within these organizations, and ensuring that they understand that voicing out is very important in terms of development, because when we look at development, it is not really development if it doesn't include everyone. And so having an all-inclusive development agenda that has the youth in it is very important. And I believe that the Youth Task Force is really, really, really majoring on ensuring that the youth are really hard in these activities. But so basically, those are goals and visions. And moving on, I think, yeah, we have been working on our youth charter, on our youth task force charter, and I would just like to share us a little bit on it. So why is it important? So it helps outline the purpose and goals and responsibilities of the youth task force. So basically, this is sort of our guideline. This is sort of, the road that we are going to be using on youth task force activities, ensuring that it all leads to the MCLD, visions and goals, the whole vision and goals. But basically, it will help us to understand that the responsibilities that we have as the Youth Task Force in ensuring that our voices are heard in these activities. And also, it provides a structure and a guideline for Youth Task Force to work effectively towards achieving our objectives. So looking at the short-term goals and the long-term goals, basically, the Youth Task Force Charter will help us in terms of effectively working and making sure that we understand what we are really doing, and ensuring that also other national organizations are able to see that this is actually what we are working towards, and this is actually this is our structure, and these are our guidelines, so that so that when it comes to decision-making processes, they do understand that they've been able to look at our charter. And from that, they can be able now to find ways they can include youth from our charter to actively participate in terms of in the decision-making processes within the national organizations, and just generally in activities held by MCLD. And also the Youth Charter helps to ensure that there's transparency and accountability in movement for community-led development decision-making processes on youth matters. So within the Youth Charter, it will ensure that there's actually accountability, that we're not only saying that the organizations are not only saying that we have included youth, in certain projects when sometimes they haven't. So this will give out accountability and transparency in ensuring that indeed the youth have actually been represented in these activities, and just making sure that within the decision-making processes that the youth have that active voice, because we usually say that the youth are the leaders of tomorrow, but personally I would love to say that the youth are the leaders now and tomorrow, because once we start including the youth from, from now, then definitely it will impact and it have a trickle down effect on how, future activities are carried out. So that in terms of transparency and accountability, the Youth Charter will basically have an overview of how best we can make sure that the youth within these activities are accounted for, and at the same time that the national associations and MCLD as a whole has been able to really, really, really include youth in its decision-making processes. Moving on to the activities that we've been able to do as a youth task force. I've put in the World Hunger Day videos because that's actually what we are working on right now, and we are very, very, very excited for it. And it's a very exciting, it's a very exciting activity that we are currently undertaking. So basically, we are doing the World Hunger Day videos. We just basically, advocating for or rather, creating awareness on world hunger. And from this on, because you'll be able to see once it's shared, I don't really wanna give out so much because it's actually like a sort of surprise on our first given, projects that we are carrying out as the Youth Task Force. But basically, we're working on the World Hunger Day videos. The other one, the activities that we are doing to ensure that that the Youth Task Force is really, really, really in line in ensuring that the youth voices are heard is the social media campaigns. So in terms of social media campaigns, we are really looking at creating awareness on youth matters and really promoting, youth voices through social media campaigns, because social media, a lot of youth are active on social media, and a lot of people nowadays, things have moved to social media. So what is we really thought of.
Oops, it looks like Samuel froze. Samuel, if you can hear us, maybe try going off video. That might help with bandwidth.
Yes, he's frozen, and but it's very, very important. These
Yes.
activities very, very important, and it will catch like fire because hunger is problem. Social media, yes, #1 in the world, and the school, especially in Nigeria, Nigerians love school. Every corner you go, you will have school, school, school. And if we dive into it, and like prayer, she's into school activities. Oh, sorry, you are here. Sorry, I talk too much. I'm not
Sorry,
even
very,
20.
very
I'm
sorry. There seems to
65
be
years.
That's
Almost.
there seems to be a
fine.
problem with the Wi-Fi.
That's okay. And Samuel,
Very, very, very sorry about that.
if it's easier to be off video, that might always help with bandwidth. Dr. Rebecca was just saying how important the work that you all are doing is while you are offline. But you
Oh,
can go ahead
thank you so much.
and share
Can I
your screen
continue
again.
sharing?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, all right. Amazing. All right, let me just. Yes, so yeah, so I was on basically social media campaigns and just so we are trying to really just inspiring the youth task force is through the social media campaigns in terms of things like the World Hand. This will really impact our, our, our work and the whole work of the Movement for Community-Led Development organization. The next one is promoting CLD in schools. Basically, getting to schools and ensuring that the schools have been able to work together with the youth that are involved around who are involved around the schools to ensure that that community-led development is really impactful in schools, basically through programs that really educate the youth on their rights, even as they're still in school, just making sure that we really try as much as possible to have peer-to-peer engagement in schools, for them to be able to understand, their rights, what really they want for themselves, and how to really voice out issues that affect them. The next one is really connecting with existing youth networks. So this is really crucial because we do understand that different organizations and different youth networks have their own different, agendas and policies and guidelines that they work with. And connecting with these existing youth networks through different socialization, such as once a person has been able to join the youth task force from their national association, it basically gives us a sort of an integration. It basically binds us and pulls us together. And once we're able to connect with youth networks, with other existing youth networks, it gives us a base of understanding what are they doing that is different from what we are doing, and how can we best collaborate on projects and that can be able to, achieve the common goal. And basically like-minded networks, networks that are really focused on ensuring that the youth voices are heard. And this it proves really effective because once we connect with existing youth networks, they basically the goal is to have youth voices heard. And once we connect with them, we have a sort of baseline of where we are working together, and this makes everything easier, and basically makes the youth task force, the MCLD youth task force in specific, to be able to just have its foot in most areas of interaction based off of existing youth networks. The other one is using WhatsApp as a medium of communication. So, as the youth task force, and we do understand that not everyone within the youth task force is able to, join in on Zoom all the time and really be active in that capacity. And so we resulted to using WhatsApp as a medium of communication because we were able to see that most people are active on WhatsApp. And people are very, very, very engaged in that. And what we're looking for as a youth task force is a lot of engagement. And because we really wanted to include everyone's voices in the terms of decision making of the youth task force, in ensuring that all the youth task force members participate and really share their views, and to just make it an open space without any barriers, we resulted to WhatsApp as a means of communication, and that has proven really effective. And so far, almost all the youth task force members have been active in ensuring that they share their views, they share their opinions, because that's how we move. That's how we move as a team. And for hearing different voices and different opinions really makes sure that we really make sure that there's a lot that has been done and could be done even as we move forward. I think yeah. Right. So joining the MCLD Youth Task Force. Sorry, I haven't really put a lot of a lot of things, but I'll basically just expound on the points that I've placed. So the Youth Task Force is very open. It's very open to all youth because what we really want is for youth to be really represented and to be included in policy making, and just for our voices to be really heard. And so in terms of joining the Youth Task Force, you may ask, how can I join the Youth Task Force? So we have an application process. So we have a form that we have recently made. We were able to collaborate, with the Youth Task Force members, as well as the previous global coordinator, Milan, who is also a Youth Task Force member. We were able to create a form on the requirements and the criteria of someone who wants to join the Youth Task Force. And so basically that dies down, or rather starts with basically having good connectivity, because we really take to account that we really need people to be able to join in on the meetings and just participate and share their views. And we have that application form where someone will be able to join in and fill in the form. I think it will be okay. I'll share it with I'll share it at some points, and then you can be able to just see the how the form looks. But basically it has the basic criterias. Basically you must be a youth as the first as one of the first points. And it's a very easy process. We really didn't want to make a lot, we really didn't want to put a lot of barriers to entry, because our points and our main agenda is basically to include as many youth as possible to be able to join and share their views and just be part of this wonderful, amazing task force. The other one, from someone filling in the form, we are able to have a one-on-one interview process just to get to understand you, get to know you as a person, get to know where you're from, and basically your expectations. And from then on, we are able to now understand the applicant better. And it's sort of not as formal. It's just basically an interactive interview where we just get to understand you and get to understand your vision and goals, and whether it aligns with the youth task force visions and goals, and basically the overall objective. The next one is the selection process through the members as well. We were able to include all members in this process. So they'll be able to assist in the selection process to make sure that, oh, okay, we agree that this person, this individual is able to join us, having met or rather gone through the application process and the interview process. And we believe that that is a good starting point, or rather good starting area of a person who wants to join MCLD Youth Task Force. But don't be shy of joining the Youth Task Force, or rather sending in your applications. We are very, very, very open to understanding, different people from different backgrounds, and just we're very open to having you, and we definitely welcome you to the Youth Task Force. So if there's any youth who's not part of the task force, please feel free to join in, and we'll be very, very happy to accommodate you in the Youth Task Force as we ensure that our voices are heard, and as we ensure that we, as the leaders of tomorrow, are already at the front line of activities. So the next step as the Youth Task Force. So we have a number of applicants already who have already signed up, and we are very excited. So it's a total of 5 applicants who have signed up. And the next step will be interviewing those applicants. We were actually meant to start interviewing the new applicants this week, but due to some circumstances, we weren't really able to do that. But we have really making sure that before the end of next week, that we have interviewed these new applicants so that they can be part of us as soon as possible. And yeah, that has been I've been very excited to see. I was really excited to see a lot of applicants, people who are interested to join the youth task force. It really shows people really have that zeal. People really have that, motivation to really ensure that their voices have been heard, and they really want to be part of the youth task force in order to just ensure that they are participating in policy making, in decision making, processes, and that has been really amazing to see. So the youth charter drafting process, that is what we are currently working on within our meeting, making sure that the youth task force members are really participating in terms of this decisions, the decision of the youth charter and what should be in it. We are really us or as and so that is what we are working on. And 3 is basically greater outreach through medium of communications. So basically through social media, ensuring that we have been able to we've been able to reach as many youth as possible who can be part of the youth task force from all around the world, all corners of the world. And so we are making sure that we find the right avenues for people to be able, for youth who are around the world to be able to join in and just be part of this wonderful group. And yeah, so those are basically the three three key areas that we are really working on to ensure that, you know, the wagon is really moving and really impactful in the long run. And moving on to the point of discussions. So what we really want, you know, really request from you to really help us is to answer to really answer these questions. And I'll read the questions out before I hand over to Nelly. One, how can the Youth Task Force build connections with other networks and bridge those gaps? Not really groups, but gaps, sorry about that, but bridge those gaps. The other question is, how can we motivate the Youth Task Force members to be active? You know, not necessarily in terms of, you know, the resources and all that, but how can we basically make sure that the Youth Task Force members are motivated and that they understand that, you know, the end goal is, you know, what is our end goal, you know, in terms of achieving our long-term goals and also achieving our short-term goals to ensure efficiency. The other one, the third one, the last one is, what are other ways to connect the MCLD members, national associations, and global movements with the Youth Task Force? Because these are tricky questions that we really love to have, you know, in terms of in terms of our discussion with all of you, and to just get to hear your inputs, get to hear what you have to say to all of this, you know, gets to hear feedback, because we would really want to move with efficiency based off of your feedback, and we're really open to feedback and you know, opinions. And that is what I believe will really help us move as a youth task force to achieving, you know, the overall objective. And through your help and through your support and through your input, I believe that the youth task force will be able to really make an impact and really make a change in terms of ensuring that the youth voices are heard, and to ensure that us as the leaders of now and tomorrow, we are being able to, you know, voice ourselves out. But basically, from the Youth Task Force, before I hand it over to back to Nelly, we are really appreciate, you know, your support. We do not take it for granted, indeed. We really love that all of you have been able to accommodate us and really to hear us out. And that, I believe, is one of the first steps that you have been able to take in terms of hearing the youth voices, and we can really see that in MCLD. But thank you so much. Really appreciate. We are open to this conversation. We're open to, you know, every single person, youth who are even not part of the youth task force. Please feel free to sign up and you know, send in your applications. It doesn't really have to be perfect, but as long as you have that zeal.
I think we just lost you there right at the end, Samuel. But I think you were saying to not be intimidated or deterred from applying. And as long as people have zeal and energy for CLD, I'm guessing that's
to
what you
Nelly, unless there's any questions that we would like to be asked.
Thank you, Samuel, very much. So yes, we are going to, Samuel, oh, great. I was going to say to take down the screen. We're going to go back into small groups in just a few minutes, bigger small groups, and we will try to distribute different members of the youth task force across those groups, but we don't know exactly who everybody is. So sorry, just seeing something from Zoom. But we will try our best to do that. Before we do that, and in those groups, we'll think about some of those questions that Samuel raised, and we can put them in the chat box before so everybody sees. Before we do that, we wanted to check if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask the youth task force now, or if any other members of the youth task force want to add anything. Okay, great. Oh, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Millie. I think I just want to say that the presentation by Sam and Tim was really, really fantastic, and the kind of envisioning that they have for the youth task force is something that must be supported by all of us. And to just ask, I think it would be great to hear from them on the specific types of supports that they would need. You know, is it in terms of helping with fundraising, capacity building, and outreach to other agencies, whether it is multinational or bilateral agencies, and stuff like that. And then we can see how to plug in from our respective regions. Thanks.
That's a great idea, Steve. Maybe a little bit later, if the youth task force has thoughts on that, they can share, or we can collect those thoughts and we can share them by email out. And I loved also how the youth task force, it sounds like, is thinking about a lot of the same questions that I think the national associations and the global secretariat is thinking about in terms of connectivity and the challenges of Zoom, and how to encourage new members and how to have structure, and all of these questions I think are ones, I think, as I said at the beginning, that resonate with the whole group. And by the way, World Hunger Day is on Tuesday, May 28th, if any of you want to post or do anything for that. All right, does anyone else have anything? Also, for the task force, I saw that Jacob put a suggestion in the chat of another youth network that you might want to check out. All right. In that case, I think, oh, go ahead, Dr. Rebecca.
Okay, sorry. I just want to thank Brother Samuel. I love Samuel name because it's my husband name. And for all the things that they are doing as youth, and connectivity with the national chapters is very, very important, because like now we have a challenge with the Chibok girls. They are in second captivity. Those who were released, they are also camped somewhere, and their parents could not even have all of them, and they're being married with their husband, forced to marry their Boko Haram husband. And all these issues, and we cannot fight it alone as a single organization. But if it is like a global coming together to see this evil, it will really help. So we want backup. We want things, a connection that will fight something that is not good happening in other country. And the youth being in school is also very, very important. When there were a lot of Christian-Muslim relationship and fighting and all this, we form a group that we went to school and create a club. And Christian and Muslim children came together, they do drama, they do all this, and then there was peace in all the schools that we are able to go and organize that peace club. So going to school and catch them young is very, very, very important. Thank you. And I'm really very happy with your presentation.
Thank you, Rebecca Dolly. And yes, thank you very much to all the members of the Youth Task Force. All right, we are going to go into a few breakout rooms now to just brainstorm with each other and the members of the Youth Task Force the questions that Samuel raised. I put them in the chat box, so everybody should be able to see them when they're in their breakout room. And if someone, I know we'll hopefully have a member of the Youth Task Force in each group, but if someone could take notes so that we can share it back with them, and that so that we can use that to make sure that we're doing what we can to support the Youth Task Force, that would be great. And then we can email it in after. All right, Sarah, if you want to go ahead, and we'll have about 20 minutes. I think if anyone needs to contact Sarah, you should be able to, right? You can always contact Sarah, even from the breakout rooms, if there's anything you guys all need. And we're going to put some of the Secretariat team members in different groups also, just to support if needed. Thanks, Sarah.
No problem. The rooms are open.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I think there's a couple of groups still coming back in. There were a lot of really good ideas that came up in our breakout room. I tried to capture notes on all of them, and I know Natalia was also in our group. So we'll be sharing them more widely with the Youth Task Force. I wanted to see if anybody in our last just 5 minutes, if there's anything anybody wants to bring up from their breakout rooms into this group. Pascal in our group brought up a really, I think, important question just before it closed, which maybe I'll come back to it, but see if anybody else has anything they want to add.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Doris.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, though I was disturbed a bit by the heavy rains and thunderstorm, but I managed to catch up in room 1 as they were discussing a lot of emerging issues, suggestions, and concerns about our youths, how to bring them on board, the work that we are doing, and also in the area of building their capacity. You know, it's very, very, very timely at this moment. You know, setting up the Youth Task Force is really in place. And I think, as our mom was saying, we have to conscientize our youths to let them know that forming themselves into a youth network is just the starting point. But how to connect, to network, to collaborate, and to partner with other youths, whether be in your locality or at national or at global level. That one is very, very key. So for me, I think I want to buy the idea of one speaker who was talking about capacity building. You know, we have to capacitate them so they can have the techniques as to how they will move on their networks with or without funding. Funding is key, you know, but there are times you also have to re-strategize so that your network won't be dormant. And if you say you only sit and wait for funding, obviously there will be challenges in the work you do. So for me, one suggestion is that in our various organizations, you know, in the movements of the community-led development as a coalition, in our local organization, for instance, as I am running a CBO, a community-based organization, we have to create a space for these youths, you know, for them to acquire those space as a safe space for them where they could make use of and give them the necessary trainings needed, you know, so that I think those spaces will serve as a springboard for them to move on with the work they are doing. So once more, I want to thank you for initiating the Youth Task Force. It is very, very much in place. And I think we have to support these youths in moving forward because obviously they're going to take off after our own generation, you know, so it's on track, setting up of the youth task force. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so
I am
much, Doris.
from Sierra Leone.
Thank you, Doris.
Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead, Sadiq. I would just say that I think those are some points that came up in ours also, that there is both a limit and an opportunity, as Pascal said, when there isn't funding. It limits things, but it also makes you have to think more creatively and have to build those skills, which is what you said as well, Doris. Also, the idea of mentorship by MCLD members to youth task force members came up. And I'd like to say the other way around. I think we also have a lot to learn from youth task force members. And a last thing I heard from you, Doris, is the responsibility of all of our organizations, not just as part of MCLD, but as individual organizations, to make space for youth in there. So thank you.
Sure. Thank
I
you.
know that we are basically at time, but I'm going to keep this space open and we can keep talking. If you have to leave, we totally understand. But thank you all so much. Thank you so much to the Youth Task Force. Sadiq, if you want to say what you were going to say.
No, I just want to say thank you for the word of encouragement that you have said to encourage the Youth Task Force to execute their works of activities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sadiq.
And to just add on to the word of thanks before most people leave, mine is just say thank you so much for your wonderful mentorship and your wonderful inputs. I was in the breakout room and we really got many ideas that shared also as well by Madam Doris and Dr. Rebecca and every single person who has been able to input their opinions and their views on how best these task force can work. Thank you so much. We will definitely not let you down, and this will definitely help us moving forward. And thank you very, very much for.
Thank you, Samuel. And I saw that Alexandra.
Hello.
Hi, Marion. Well, I was just going to say that Alexandra also put in the chat box, if you can put the link to the application for the Youth Task Force into the chat box, we'll also send it by email. That would be great. Go ahead, Marion or Sandra.
Yes, I wanted to say good evening to everyone. My apologies, I was caught up in another meeting while I left the link open. Yeah, but thank you so much, Sarah, and the team, what you're doing. And just to encourage us that we need to look at the two youth task forces, both urban and rural. The rural and urban divide are real and it presents different opportunities for the youth. So it's important that we look at that. And anything that can be the interconnectors, the digitalization and the industrial side of it. Youth are entering into manufacturing. If you can support centers of excellence for cottage industries, if we can support digital hubs, that will be a plus. And if you can also support sports centers, as centers of excellency that will bring our youth together. They're highly politically charged across the continent, but we need to take them to the economic side of the world and the digital world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I don't know if anyone else wants to come in. I don't think we have time to discuss this, but Pascal, do you want to raise the question that you brought up in our group at the very end? It's a question that we face, again, in MCLD at large. Pascal?
Nelly, do you mean about funding or about research?
Actually, about translation.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah. In our working group, I raised the issue about how do we motivate people to join the task force, youth task force. Particularly the translation, making sure that people are comfortable in joining this space. And they'll be confident that they could share ideas and could learn from others as well. So that could motivate people, particularly you from the other country that are not very fluent at English to join the task force as well.
Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, that's something we continue to try to improve and work on is making sure we have translation for MCLD at large, exactly, in place. And I know for the Youth Task Force, it's even more of a challenge because you guys are operating independently. So it's a thing to think about both on your side, but also with us. Because as Pascal says, we have a lot of particularly French-speaking members and participants in MCLD who would probably be really interested to participate. All right, well, we are 5 minutes over. I so appreciate everyone's energy and contributions, and I really appreciate the work of the Youth Task Force and to Samuel for preparing this whole presentation and being so articulate and clear-headed and just a really passionate advocate, along with Prayer and Natalia and Sadiq and Bamiyai and all the others who I am missing, I'm sure. But thank you all so much for being here. And
thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you very
Bye.
much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Well
everyone.
done.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to seeing you all
Bye-bye.
soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take
See you
care.
soon,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Samuel and the rest of the team. Bye.